Every evening, just before the sun melted into the horizon, Eleanor Hayes would open the front door of her little Ohio home. She'd place a pair of worn brown shoes neatly on the porch, their toes facing outward, as if their owner might return at any moment and slip right into them. The neighbors noticed, of course. Some whispered she was forgetful. Others figured it was just an old habit from before her husband passed. But the truth was quieter and much harder to explain. Her husband Thomas wasn't dead. He had simply left 15 years ago, on a morning that felt just like any other. Thomas kissed her forehead, grabbed his jacket, and walked out the door, promising he'd be back for dinner. He never was. There was no accident, no note, just a sudden, gaping absence. At first, Eleanor waited with a desperate urgency. Every car that passed, every sound on the street, made her heart leap. She slept on the couch, afraid she might miss the turn of the doorknob. She placed his shoes outside that very first night, her hands moving on autopilot, just like she always did. Thomas liked a clean house, and he liked to slip his shoes on easily in the morning. Days blurred into weeks, then months. The concerned calls from relatives slowly turned into uncomfortable suggestions. "You should move on," they'd say gently. "Maybe something happened," they'd offer, thinking a tragedy would be easier to swallow than abandonment. But Eleanor never replaced the shoes. She cleaned them. She had the soles repaired. She'd move them just enough to keep them out of the rain. Every single evening, she set them out again. It wasn't an invitation, not really. It was proof of silent testimony to herself that what they had shared wasn't just a dream. People misunderstand rituals like this. They think it's all about hope, but Eleanor knew better. Hope burns out. It's a flame that flickers and dies. But habit endures. Placing those shoes on the porch was the one moment in her day when she did have to decide how to feel. It was automatic. It was steady. In a world that was constantly asking her to explain herself, to justify her grief, to heal faster than she could, the shoes asked for nothing. The years rolled on. The house aged with her, its paint chipping like old memories. Her hands grew slower, more deliberate. Thomas aged too, but only in her mind, always frozen with that same smile, always halfway turned toward the door. Sometimes well-meaning neighbors would offer to help, gently suggesting she throw the shoes away, as if clearing the porch could somehow clear her heart. Eleanor would just smile politely and say, "They don't hurt anyone." And they didn't. What hurt was how everyone stopped saying Thomas's name, as if erasing him from conversation would fix what he broke. What hurt was knowing that abandonment leaves no ending, no ceremony, no grave to kneel beside. On the loneliest nights, she'd wonder if Thomas ever thought of her, if he ever noticed the absence of his shoes by his own door. She never tried to find him, not because she didn't want answers, but because she knew some truths once spoken can't be neatly folded back into the quiet fabric of daily life. The shoes stayed. They sat through birthdays she spent alone, and holidays where she learned to cook smaller meals. They saw her through the quiet dignity of surviving without being seen as strong or just persistent. One cold winter evening, a young neighbor knocked, asking if Eleanor needed help with her groceries. As they chatted, the girl's eyes fell on the shoes. "Is someone coming home?" she asked innocently. Eleanor paused, a soft smile touching her lips. "No," she said, "but someone once did." The girl nodded, not quite understanding, but respecting the weight of the words. That night, as Eleanor placed the shoes on the porch, something shifted. It wasn't pain, and it wasn't longing. It was acceptance. She wasn't waiting anymore. She was remembering. The shoes were no longer a signal for a man to return. They were a quiet monument, telling the house that love had once lived there, that leaving didn't erase belonging. The day Eleanor finally moved into assisted living, the shoes were the last thing she touched. She cleaned them one final time and set them outside before closing the door for good. Not because she expected anyone to come back, but because she refused to pretend that 15 years of devotion could be packed into a box and forgotten. Some people survive by letting go. Others survive by holding on in small, quiet ways that make no sense to anyone else. And every evening, as the sun dipped below the trees and the old porch grew quiet, those shoes told a story of loyalty that outlived presence. A story of a woman who kept her dignity not by forgetting, but by choosing every single day to honor what had been real. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe for more.